All right, let's go ahead and choose a domain name for our website. Now, we probably have already gotten our business name picked out, and we may or may not be able to get a matching domain name. So let's see what we can do. Now, I like to use this website, cloth.net, to look up domain names. The reason why is way back in the day, there were a few domain names that I was testing out, and I kept putting them through GoDaddy to see if they were available. And then GoDaddy registered them because they thought, I guess, that there was a lot of demand for these domain names. They're going to be popular. So they stole them out from under me, and I did not get to have those domain names, which is why I do not have my own domain name.com that I wanted. I had to add my middle initial into my domain name. So I like to use this website because I don't really have to worry about them stealing or registering these domain names that I may want. So I like to go to the Whois, and I'm going to show you how to do this. So if I want to say eef.com, just enter it here on the Whois and push look it up. And this is telling me that it is already registered. So it's showing me this different information. It's on these name servers. So that one's taken. I can't use that. Let's try eefcreative.com. Look it up. Okay, and this one is taken. This one's actually already registered by me. This is the one I'm going to be using. But if it was unavailable, let's see. Let's try. I'll show you what it looks like when it is actually available. Alright, so if the domain name is not registered, it will say no match for whatever you typed in. So that would mean that I could then go to Bluehost or GoDaddy or whatever domain registrar I wanted to use, and I could register it for myself. Now, if the one that you want is taken, you do have some other options. You can add things to your domain name. So for example, like this EEF Creative eCourses, it's kind of long, but it would be available, so I could make that my domain name. I could consider using something from my tagline, so I could be something like just creativeecourses.com if that's available. I could go ahead and do a .org if I was a nonprofit organization. I don't recommend them if you are a for-profit. In general, and I know this is changing, but in general, I do recommend getting a .com. That's what most people will type in by default. So a .net is not terrible, but then you start getting things that are kind of crazy, like .cc or .ly or on, and people don't remember those. So especially if you have a business that's competing, it's much better to have a .com, even though most, if not all of the good ones are really taken. I would also try to avoid, like I mentioned, creative spellings in your names. I know my EEF is a little strange, but you don't want to, for example, spell creative with a K because nobody's going to remember that you used a K instead of a C. So let's go ahead, and I have a document, and I'm going to kind of show you some different ideas. Okay, so here is the example worksheet that I made for my business. So my business name is EEF Creative, and my tagline is eCourses for Creative Entrepreneurs. So I want to go with something, obviously, that is related to my business name, or at least to what I do. Now, as I said, eef.com is taken. That would be my ideal domain name since everything I do is under my initials, EEF. The EEF Creative eCourses.com I decided is too limiting. I don't want to lock myself into only doing eCourses. In the future, I might want to do something else. CreativeeCourses.com had the same problem of being too limiting, plus it ended up being already taken, and EEFCreative.com ended up being the winner. Now, when I was looking those up, I'd already registered it, so it was shown as taken. But that's the one that I have, and it makes sense with my business name. It's not too limiting, and it is a .com, so it's going to be easy for people to remember as long as they remember my business name. So go ahead and brainstorm some ideas and go back to cloth.net and type in a whole bunch of different options and see which ones work. And if you need to, run some by a friend or family member and get some feedback on whether it sounds like something that they're If possible, avoid hyphens. I know that especially for a .com, since most of the good ones are taken, it's hard to avoid them now, but that's another thing that people don't remember to put in. So keep your spelling as normal, use a .com whenever possible, and just keep it simple and short.